Hello and welcome everybody to this recording of digital audio advertising case studies. So my goal today is really to share with you inspiring strategies from advertisers who are leveraging the digital audio opportunity. So I'm Victor Legge, Global Marketing Director at TargetSpot. So I think the first point is to set the scene a little bit about digital audio. And we made a research in France with Ipsos. And we had several findings about the potential of the medium, especially the fact that it delivers both attention and reach. What we mean by that is that, first of all, we can see now that the consumption is really established. We have a strong penetration that you can see on the left, nearly at the level of FM radio. That's digital audio as a whole. So whether it's music streaming, internet radio, or podcasts, which are the main three dimensions. And what is very interesting is that it's really an incremental reach to FM radio. So basically, you can see here in the center the overlap of listeners between FM radio and digital audio. And you can really see that 25% of listeners can only be reached with digital audio. So it's really a very good incremental reach. And if you go to younger people, it's even stronger. Digital audio is then the majority, and it's more radio that you need for the incremental reach. The last point is the quality of the attention to ads. It's a very immersive experience with not a lot of ads, obviously, and digital audio is really the best medium in terms of attention to ads. We'll come back to that. But basically, so it's a very good scene that you can see. And here we've done with Ipsos a little mapping of the different mediums in terms of the reach, by week, in horizontal, and in vertical, the attention to ads. And when you look at the individual dimensions like podcast, internet radio, or music streaming, they are, let's say, somewhat niche, even if it's very qualitative. But when you group them into a media plan together, into digital audio, then you really get both the reach and the attention. So the medium becomes really a must-have, a safe bet for your communication plans. Actually, I should have apologized in advance for my bad voice. Sorry. The other thing is, okay, in fact, it's no surprise, those findings. As I said, it's a very immersive experience, listening to digital audio. People consume the content on demand with earplugs often. An advertiser gets 100% share of voice. There are not many advertisers, 4 times less than FM radio. That's French figures. Also, it's a non-skippable format, so really interesting. So you have an exceptional level of response to ads, and you need less repetition to get a message across. Also, something interesting for the smaller budgets is the production cost, obviously, is very low, is very quick to develop. And also you have some local, freedom when you're part of an international plan. We know audio in general is left to the, let's say, the discretion of the local team. So it's something you get really, you can really leverage easily. So yes, digital audio as a whole is a great way to advertise. Just would like to make a last point about the different formats in podcasts. You have different ways to make ads, and just would like to clarify them. The first one is what we call announcer-read ads, which is somehow classic audio commercials, with actors, and it's ads which are placed in different shows, different podcasts. So it's inserted dynamically like any digital format. You also have something which is very popular and very premium, which is host-read ads. So it's really the podcast host who's reading the ad. So it's a unique show. So it's more like sponsoring, obviously. And the last part, we know also many brands, many companies are considering to create their own podcast, you know, like really the content. So the brand becomes a medium in that sense. So it's 3 different ways to do ads. Today, we're going to focus a bit more on unanswered read ads. So really the classical digital ads. But we have a lot of webinars also on the other 2 categories. So feel free to browse on our website. So we talk about audio, of course, but it's digital at first. So you really have some targeting capabilities in terms of demographics, also contextual targeting, like you can select, for instance, different podcast subjects. You can use the day parts and so on. So really to fit into the right context for your brand. The geographic dimension is very important. We can target based on the zip code. And you will see there are many ways to leverage that. We know, for instance, FM radio is a very local medium. That's definitely something we can do with digital audio. And one of the things we can do is dynamic creative optimization. You based on the weather, some health or pollution, let's say, index, we can adapt the creative, and that's based on the localization of the listener. The last bit, which is very important, is the fact that audio is most of the time a cookie-free environment. So what it means is that the targeting that you can do is probabilistic. You know, we don't have personal identifiable information. We are in a world, in an environment which doesn't use third-party cookies. Okay, so we are already ready for the phase out of the third-party cookies of Google Chrome. Obviously, you cannot do things like retargeting, for instance, but you can enrich audiences and purchase audience segments which are probabilistic. You can see here an example, and we have like several thousands of segments like that, but they are more, let's say, aware of the privacy requirements from the future that we expect. I would say, to conclude, so lots of possibilities, but it's true, I wouldn't choose digital audio for performance marketing. Don't use it to get clicks. Okay, now we're going to really enter into the core of the presentation. I wanted to set the scene because it's still a pretty young, let's say, environment for brands. So how advertisers use digital audio in their communication plan? It's mostly for awareness or branding campaigns. You have the strong attention to ads, which is really great, but it's mostly awareness. And you will see you have campaigns which are really like an extension of a radio campaign. And then you are also campaigns which are only available in digital and audio. That's, let's say, the classical campaigns, I would say. You also have special projects. It's a little bit like the host thread I was showing earlier. So it's more content driven or innovation driven. I'll share a few examples, you know, for the sake of the exercise, but it's not the core of my presentation. So now I would like to share a few examples of campaigns which are together with FM radio advertising. Obviously, brands do this for the incremental reach to FM radio, as we've seen in the figures introduction. But it's much more than that is possible. I have here 3 examples. One is an example of a very super local campaign with Kiabi, a fashion retailer. Another one is how we use DCO to make a message more relevant. And the last one is to reach an international audience that is not consuming FM radio, okay, because they don't speak the language or they want to stay connected to their home country, you know. So it's 3 ways which are very interesting to complete FM radio plan. The first one, so it's for a new store opening. So something very targeted at a zip code level. What is very interesting in this case is the campaign runs across all the dimensions of digital audio: podcast, music streaming, web radio, even mobile games. We'll come back to that. And thanks to that, you have a very strong reach, despite it's a local campaign. It's not like you're only doing this on a very small, let's say, a local FM radio. No, you can get many people consuming digital audio in the zip code area, a few zip code areas, obviously, around the store. Also, something people appreciate is the companion banner. We have a nice click-through rate. The second example is for a home appliance retailer during the sales period. It was summer with a heat wave. And basically, they triggered dynamic creative optimization based on temperature. Every time the temperature was above 25 degrees, the creative ad was changing from a general sales message to an ad featuring an air conditioner. So something really smart that they did to drive traffic during the sales period. So here we see two examples of retailers which we know are heavy spenders on radio, and they now have clearly understood the relevance of digital audio. The first one is a bit more, let's say, unexpected. It's for a telco company selling prepaid mobile phone offer. And here it's quite interesting because a few things. First of all, they can exclude their own users with a negative targeting based on the, let's say, the telco usage. Something that can be done. Lucky, how lucky they are. And the second one is obviously, so they go for digital natives who really consume digital audio a lot, and obviously people who consume content which is not local, as we say, expatriates, let's say, who use those prepaid cards, and they consume an inventory of non-Belgian publishers, so medium from abroad, be it Turkish or from Africa or whatsoever, and you can reach them in this type of content. It was a Belgian campaign, as you've seen. We also have to complete that some flights to target the parents. So that's 3 examples of campaigns completing FM radio. Now we have some campaigns also who are digital audio only. Here it's very interesting because it's more younger companies who, they go straight to digital audio. They skip the FM radio stage. They are, like digital native business models. And you will see they like to get ways for the people to convert. So we have an example, first one, which is trying to get people who really have digital audio, digital usage habits. And the second one, which is leveraging really the cookieless targeting part. The first one is a campaign in France for Livi. It's a medical appointment platform to book appointments. And basically, they used also dynamic creative optimization. So if there was an epidemic situation locally for the flu or gastroenteritis, they would adapt the commercial automatically to make it more relevant. Obviously, it's not something they used for the COVID, but very relevant in terms of creative relevance. The second one is a company in Spain for another platform, but this time is to rent houses. And basically, the campaign was used to acquire new landlords. They had a 3 months free offer around Madrid. And here, in this case, they bought a DMP segment of home ownership, people who own a home. So that was very, let's say, interesting in terms of audience qualification. And the other part is they wanted an audience, let's say, an inventory of premium publishers So you can see Radio Marca, Prisa, very famous radio stations in Spain, and also Daily Motion or TuneIn. And what they had also, which is interesting on the top, the bottom right box, is a companion banner. So it's something they appreciated. As you can see, we have CTR. It's always above 1%. So it's good versus the benchmark of a display campaign. And people appreciate that. So you have, let's say, the audio experience, but also sometimes people can click on a banner. You also have campaigns which are only on podcasts. You know, podcasts are very popular. It's consumed, we know, a lot by educated people. So there are some brands which are really interested in those audiences. We also know that it's highly influential context. We know that the podcast hosts are like we like to call them the new influencers. One campaign was really contextual targeting with podcasts selected for their affinity with the theme of the commercial, and then it's more a geolocalized campaign. They are both in the Radio France inventory of podcasts. It's the biggest French-speaking podcast group in the world with 100 million listeners per month. So something very powerful. The first campaign was a campaign for an electric toothbrush with a startup, and they wanted to launch a new eco-friendly model. Basically, they were really targeting high-income household. So what they did is, first of all, they took a DMP segment of high-income households, personal hygiene households, you know, those sort of relevant audiences. And then they said, okay, we want to be in a selection of Radio France podcasts. So they chose some themes like well-being, sustainability, tech, you know, like, as we said, like people in affinity with the theme, but they also made sure they have the reach with something like true crime, which is high listenership figures. The other campaign is a bit more classical, but again, it's for a home decoration service in its launch phase. It's awareness goal, and here they use the geolocalization around Paris with ads in Radio France again, and they chose only pre-roll, so the ad plays before the commercial, the podcast episode for maximum visibility. So we have more and more of those requests. We see that for podcasts, obviously. What we see also is brands interesting in, I would call it special projects. You know, like many brands like want to have sort of a sonic DNA. We know I think we should stop talking about digital audio and FM radio. We should talk about audio, you know, and this, let's say, a very intimate and personal space. Basically, we have one project with eBay with audio ads in mobile games, and another one with Warner Music with the creation of a brand podcast for the launch of a new album. The first part, the campaign for eBay was a campaign for car parts. Their car parts range, and a very strong audio campaign, on every dimension of audio. And they said, okay, let's go and try mobile games. You know, it's more innovative formats. And so they said, we want to do it to reach a younger audience with audio ads in mobile games. So they chose it because it's a non-intrusive format. So we know mobile games, sometimes the gamer can be frustrated by a display ad or video ad interrupting his experience. With audio ad, he can still keep playing while hearing the advertising. So, and here, what is even more powerful is that the games were selected, you know, by our partner Zazume, to be a great contextual fit. So you have games around racing, motorcycle. The one in the middle is to steal cars. You're a thief, car thief. And again, you have also a companion banner. So you have the ears and the eyes. And here, great CTR on the companion banner, 3 times as high as the benchmark. So great campaign with eBay, Group M, and Gatsby, a nice collective project. The second one is really like, is nothing alike what we've seen before. And we have a full case study if you're interested, and also videos about that. It was for the launch of the new album of Renaud, who is an iconic French singer, very, very famous, who turned 70s and launched his new album. And basically, Warner Music wanted to recruit younger fans, you know, than the usual ones. And to do that, they produce content in the form of podcasts. So they produce 3 podcasts, which are interviews of the artists. And basically, they also run ads to drive people to listen to the podcast. The campaign was very successful. The podcast was ranked first in the music category on the Apple podcast listing for 1 week, if I'm not mistaken. And all the album ranked first too in France. So great business results here, obviously. Something completely different for the rest. I would advise to do it if you have the resources, but it shows you, I think, it will show you the, let's say, the breadth of possibilities. Okay, so I would like to thank you for your attention. I hope it was interesting. You can contact us via our website, watch more webinars, read articles, and we're happy to chat with you about your audio strategies. Have a great day.